The fast facts on Ben and Emma Stallworthy, owners and proud owners and hard-working owners of a business called Pinnacle Health Clubs. We'll get them to share a little bit more about the business itself. However, Ben and Emma have been together as a couple, as a partnership in life for almost 10 years, and they've been married for 3. Ben was a postie before taking over his first Pinnacle, or his first business in Scoresby, his first health club. Although he was always destined to be a business owner with a true entrepreneurial spirit, that was the time that he said, I'm going to buy one, right? Let's see what happens. Emma had completed a Bachelor of Commerce and began her road to corporate life in a business management consulting firm that was based in the CBD. They have travelled together, lived overseas together, bought 2 houses together, found a passion of skiing together, and welcomed a crazy dog to the family. I sort of looked at that and I thought, really? Hope they're not referring to me. So naturally, because I am referred to as the raging bull in some circles, guys. So naturally the progression was to start working together, right? Well, yes. Was that a great idea? Let's find out. So they gave it a go 4 years ago and have not looked back. And having been involved with this business on a more official and more, let's call it intimate, from a professional perspective relationship, this is definitely something to keep your eyes on as far as, as business owners, but a business that's in an industry that is in decline. It's being challenged right now with, 24/7 gyms and big health clubs that are built in warehouses with $5 a week you could be a member, and no one's going to show you any love, but people are going there because it's a price-driven industry right now. However, they both loved fitness and the outdoors and always had made time for holiday, sport and family. The fast facts about Pinnacle Health Clubs, particularly in the last 2 years. 65% increase in revenue from financial year 2012 to 2013. 29% increase in revenue from financial year 2013 to 14, and on track for a 10% increase in revenue in the current financial year. The client base, average retention and lifetime value, 6,500 members amongst their 4 gymnasiums, their 4 health clubs. Average retention of 1.6 years at an average lifetime value of $1,251.27. However, we are working on increasing their engagement in our clubs to increase both the retention, as in have them staying longer as members of our club, and buying more from us because we're expanding our menu board from a relevancy and frequency perspective. Very important language, guys. I need you to listen out for this language. It's one thing to have clients hanging around, it's another thing to keep on expanding a relevant and meaningful and ultimately frequently bought menu board. You've got to be starting to think this way in your business. Your current tribe, what else is it that they could and should be buying from you versus your competition because you didn't have it available? Does that make sense? Sometimes we miscommunicate what's on our menu board, or sometimes we feel like we're in hard sales and don't have that conversation, and that gets in the way. Not at Pinnacle Health Clubs. Operationally, we have grown from 50 to 70 staff with the acquisition of another gym, and soon 2 to 7 team members in our head office, which are driving the machine, the back end, the operational arm of the business. And that includes Ben and Emma, who are still very active participants in more so leadership these days than what it was 2 years ago, but they're actively involved day to day. They often get feedback as far as their customer delight system. They are constantly developing team and looking out for future leaders in their business. They're currently looking at expanding their club managers to a point where they're advancing their tertiary education. In other words, they're reinvesting in their people. They're growing their resources, okay? That's what that means. The database has grown in the last 18 months by 40%, which is significant in a business like that. And if there was one thing that I could put my finger on that I chose as this is the number that I am looking at in this business on a week-to-week basis, and they have redefined the key numbers report. This business has redefined it in our business in terms of what they actually measure every week. But this is the one number that I look at and say, okay, in an industry that's competitive and under threat in terms of their part of their industry, this is the one. In March 2013, we had weekly sales of $65,000, round figures. In March 2014, we had weekly sales of $95,000. In March 2015, we are holding in a trend that is spiralling downwards for a business in the model that we are growing at Pinnacle Health Clubs. They are holding at weekly sales at $95,000. That is a very impressive number when you consider it's easy to throw the towel in and say, oh, they're all going to the $5 gyms. So you need to be meaningful to hold a client base, attract a new client base if you're in a competitive landscape. Does that make sense, guys? So without further ado, I want to introduce Emma and Ben Stallworthy, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about their business.
Yes.
Emma, you take the middle.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, mate.
That must be important.
You are the brain trust. Isn't that right, Ben?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I guess having grown up in a family business, there's no two ways about it. The complications when it comes to the dinner table, the after hours, the complications, the conversations, particularly when we're at a, let's call it a choke point or a, geez, we need to make a decision about this, but no one's making a decision. Because, one's saying yes, the other one's saying no, the other one's saying maybe, the other one's saying we should, and there's a stalemate, right? So having lived through that as a very young boy in my growing up years, with mum and dad being in business and fairly robust conversations at certain times, how is it all going being a husband and wife these days and ultimately being very successful business owners? How's that going?
It's a great question.
No, it is. I think we've come a long way. So from when we started nearly 4 years ago together now, I think we're a really effective team. I think we're still working on how we divide work and home life. But it's funny when you say the choke points and one person's up and down. We very rarely have we had times where we're both down and you get home and you're both down and you can bring the other person down even further, and it's really cancerous for the relationship and the business. But luckily for us, I think because we're so different, when I'm down, Ben's up and he's able to pull me out of that, and vice versa, and that's been really important both on a personal and business front.
And for most of us in the room, I guess it's important to note that they are complementary profiles. In other words, Benny's a very aggressive, go and get it today sort of person, and Emma is, hang on, let's just figure out the facts and let's sleep on it a bit. Let's sleep on it a little. So when you're growing a business that ultimately is managing 6,500 customers every single week, and you're also managing a business that's on a fast growth curve, and now you need to stabilise and have consistent growth versus fast growth. The complementary profiles in this business relationship are critical, but you need to understand where your strengths are. So what I want to sort of touch on here, and if we go back 2 years ago when we, or just over 2 years ago when we first met, what were the crossroads at that point? I mean, you were growing something, there's no two ways about it, but what were the actual crossroads?
It was definitely clarity and knowing where we're heading. It was great, we're growing, but really we didn't have a game plan to get to, well, we didn't really know what our end goal was. So it was first of all to sit down and work out where do we want to be in 3 years from now, where do we see ourselves. So setting goals was probably a big crossroad for us. We didn't spend enough time around setting goals and defining our roles. So we're always stepping on each other's toes in the office or at each of the health clubs. So it was understanding what my strengths were, what Emma's strengths were, and how we could bring that to the team. So defining the role was massive for us, and being able to then ask each other at the end of the day, how was your day? Because we weren't stepping on each other's toes was a massive bonus. And
crucially communicating that to our team. So it was a lot about, when I came into the business, because I came in after, when we took over our second club, who do we go to? Do we go to Emma? Do we go to Ben? Not knowing who to go to. So by defining the roles, it helped us, but it helped our team know who to go for what help as well.
And in fairness, 2 years ago, the landscape in your industry was slightly different. I mean, the clouds were in the definitely looming, but it was definitely a different mindset as to what could have been an end game. And in fairness, at what point have you guys, as a leadership team, decided this is the way we're going as a business model versus the one we may have considered 2 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you had asked me 2 years ago and we chatted about it, where do we want to be in 3 years? We wanted 10 more. We wanted to have 10 locations in 3 years, and we were confident that we could have 10 locations in 3. So I'd be walking around the office, 10 in 3, 10 in 3. We're going to get it done, 10 in 3. But really, we didn't understand what was happening in the industry enough, and how quickly these 24/7 gyms and roofless they would be in opening. Fortunately, with our model, we have been 24/7 for over 5 years. So not only are we a full service health club, we have had that 24/7 part to our business to add the convenience. So we haven't had the stress to worry about, do we go 24/7, don't we go 24/7? Because we've always been trying to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, but I think to answer your question in terms of when did we make the decision around where we're going now, I think that's been recent. So I think I think it's come out of the crisis points, the crisis management points. So growing really fast, and then the choke points that come with that growth, and then having to reassess, okay, well, where to from here? What's manageable for us? What do we need to do to catch up to the growth, and then facilitate the opportunities that come from that growth?
And what would you say is your key focus as a business right now versus, let's go and take on the world 2-3 years ago, which was definitely a doable consideration, but in fairness, where the industry's gone and where you guys have also sort of taken the business to, what is the critical focus right now?
Right now, it's definitely results for our members, 100%. So when I first got into the business, it was all about building the business, getting members in. Right? So I didn't understand the retention side of things. It's something we're focused on massively, is utilisation of our gyms. We want everyone coming to the gym, 3-4 times a week. It's a massive focus for us. We've just employed a head coach for our health club, so he's basically going to be the head of fitness, so implementing new programs, making sure our member interaction and utilisation is as high as possible.
I think it's results for our members, which means results for our brand, and so part of that is that team. It all comes back to the team development from a leadership perspective, all the way down to the very frontline team members. So definitely results.
What would you suggest are the top 2 or 3 tips in growing team, particularly if it's a bigger organisation, multiple site organisation? Your plan, I would suspect, is to be pulling back from the day-to-day and focusing on other opportunities that you guys are getting exposed to at the moment. What would you suggest are the top 2 or 3 tips over the last period in terms of developing team?
Well, first of all, you've got to make time. You can't do it without making time. So one thing that we did as soon as we met Stefan was one of the things we picked up was we have fortnightly meetings with all our managers at our head office. So we bring them into I guess the space that we work a lot in, and we set our goals and go over what's working, what's not working, what are we doing about it. Let's hear from our managers, that then obviously go back to the staff and make sure our communication's improved. So that's one thing.
Yeah, definitely. I guess a little bit of what Frank said in regards to leadership doesn't just come from the formal leadership roles, it comes from everyone, and it's funny because I sat there and went, oh wow, we do that. So we do performance reviews with every single one of our team members, and we've got over 70 now plus contractors, so that is a busy time-consuming time, and obviously that formalisation of those reviews differs depending on the person and their role, but leadership's one of our values, and we talk to that value. So I guess it's about empowering all your team and always looking to the internal. Yes, there's external recruitment as well, but that internal development and culture that comes with that is far more cost effective.
Is it easy?
No.
Should you stay committed?
Yes.
Yeah. And this is the trap. The trap is it's not easy, and it's a lot easier to not be committed, to not growing your current talent. It's a lot easier to just say, look, I'll just keep on doing the harder work, and then eventually someone will follow. It's a lot easier. But what is definitely not that much harder is to make a decision that I am going to build a team. I need to build a team. I need to build this type of team that fits this type of culture to help us move towards that destination. And that's what's going on in, I guess, at Pinnacle Health Clubs. Talk to me about financial mastery. Talk to me about scoreboard mastery, looking at your scoreboard on a weekly basis, which this business is definitely a benchmark business. It's an epitome of looking at the scoreboard and staying true to it from a profit and loss driving perspective, from a balance sheet perspective, which are all, for some of us, foreign terms or references, but in real business, guys, this is the language. It's P&L and balance sheet driven. What does that scoreboard in terms of reflection mean for you guys every Friday afternoon?
I love key numbers.
Who else does, by the way?
What do you think of budget, Ben? So finance isn't our strength, either one of us. But we're learning all the time, and key numbers has been a really good way for us, I guess, to put that into our own language and our own understanding. So P&Ls and balance sheets can look a bit scary if you don't have that background or that understanding. And yes, you might have an accountant or a support person, but I guess key numbers put the key indicators for the business into our own wording and understanding that we can track, and we include that with our managers. So that's not just privy to just us, that's a reporting mechanism that we use and we talk to with our managers weekly.
And that's the thing about being open, you've got to be open with your team. So they know our goals as much as we know our goals. So how can we expect to reach our goals if they're not buying into them? So that's something that's been big with us, is being able to actually open up to the team and let them buy into the business growth. So if we're growing, they're growing as well. We always look internally for our growth, so it's been a big part of it. In terms of the key numbers though, to understand our trends, it's been a big thing. So since we've been doing the key numbers, we understand better when to use our marketing campaigns, and it's helped out a lot with just our understanding from day to day, mate, our cancellations, just our utilisation, absolutely everything. So it's a massive part.
Where do you see yourselves in the next 24 months?
Well, where we see ourselves and the industry, it is challenging at the moment. So we're in consolidation mode. We're very happy with our 4 health clubs. We're investing heavily into our team and into our members' experience. So we want to make sure that we get that right first. Once we nail that, we feel that the way the industry is going, there is going to be a lot of struggling independent gyms out there. So we do see an opportunity still to grow our model and look for other health clubs to expand to. We've also got some other exciting opportunities that have come up as well. There's been an international opportunity that's come to us through a member that knew a member that knew someone over in an international country that's looking to start up a chain of 24/7 gyms over there. So there's a consulting opportunity there, which is very exciting. We're currently looking into how that might play out.
Yeah, we're looking into the software space. So I guess the main part of that line that Mark said about the main thing, keeping the main thing, keeping that focus for us on our core business and continuing to grow our 4 clubs and what we're doing in those clubs. But enjoying the excitement of looking at this diversification opportunity that we've got still within our industry, but exciting for the opportunities, definitely.
Excellent. Questions? Anybody got a question? Mark.
Just curious about the 24/7 model. Why the 24/7 model in your industry? I guess the second part of the question is utilisation of your clubs at 2:30 in the morning is obviously sufficient to be an important part of the business.
Great question, mate. I mean, we went 24/7 5 years ago. There was a big competitor coming into our only health club at the time, which was located in Scoresby. So I thought, how can we get on the front foot, I guess? And I was following the trends in America and noticed that there was gyms popping up everywhere. They're 24/7. Geez, how does this work? It is on an access control system, so there is more risk incorporated with being 24/7, of course. But for us, it was the opportunity to promote that we are 24/7. We're the first ones, and the flexibility it gives our membership. So I know you say that gyms, you're probably thinking gyms are open pretty good hours, 6 till 9, pretty flexible on weekends, but public holidays, they're not flexible. On weekends, it's quite difficult. If you're out with the kids all day, you still want to get your workout in on a Sunday evening. And we have a lot of corporates and shift workers in our area. It was amazing how many taxi drivers I met. When we went 24/7, nurses, doctors, hospitality workers that work on weekend, retailers on weekends, they finish work at 5 o'clock at Knox City. Obviously, you've got that opportunity to. It's a bigger market than you think.
We get more out of our team too, so they don't start at 6 a.m. in the morning, they start at 8 or 9 a.m, so they're not tired, they're not lagging their feet by the time you get that 9 o'clock rush. For us, 24/7, it's not who we are, it's just a service, one of the services that we offer. So the 24-hour trend chain that's coming into the industry at the moment is a low budget model, and we try not to position ourselves as a competitor against, we are, but we try to position ourselves differently against them from a perspective that 24/7, that's what they sell themselves on, whereas we sell ourselves on our culture and the results for our members and the services that we offer. So the bigger picture.
One more question, guys. Eva?
Sounds to me that you're working pretty hard. I wonder how you manage relaxing time and not too personal, how you manage relationship time. Is especially working in a husband and wife business?
Yeah. If it's all right, I'll answer this one.
Yeah,
That's the right thing to do.
Because I'm naturally a stress head, and it wouldn't matter if I'm running a business with Ben or whether I'm an employee, where the buck doesn't stop with me, I would find stress. So I'm currently, it's funny, a year ago I probably didn't have time to understand that and work towards managing that, but now we're definitely working more on the business, so being more productive rather than busy on a day-to-day in the business all the time. So I'm being able to find time to do the stuff that works for me, like meditation or yoga and things like that, that's coupling really well from a work-life balance from my own personal perspective. From us, we've always been, date night every week. I guess I don't know necessarily if it would work 100% for us if we were in the office, on one office, just the two of us, I guess, because we're out and about all the time. We do have days where we haven't seen each other and we get home and how was your day, honey, what did you get up to, sort of thing. But like I said at the start, it's still an ongoing challenge, but I guess it's about being aware of it and communication. So we've always been really strong on being able to talk about anything. Stefan has been a great help in that. How many times have I joked that sometimes our one-on-one sessions are a little bit of a marriage counselling session? But it's great because, there's no judgment and you can go in there and I guess you talk to one another and you talk through your problems in a more rational way than screaming from one side of the table to the other, which we've never done. So.
Don't play.
3 tips for business owners that are at a crossroad. They have passion, but they're at a crossroad, and the crossroad's not good. Ben?
It's always a challenge at the crossroad. You need to speak to someone. It's in your head. You've got all the ideas. Obviously, you've probably written them down, but you've played over all the scenarios, but how do you know which one's going to work out? So, you've got to be around people that have done it before. I do believe, whether it's Stefan or someone else, I do believe that every business needs a mentor. I really do believe it. It was something that I wasn't open to start with. I was like, well, what do we need one for? We're going well, everything's going well. But we're at the crossroads at that time, and Emma opened up my eyes to it and said, let's just go and give this a chance. And obviously meeting Stefan just helped us take that next step in our business that we needed to do, just the clarity that come from that. So that's 1 tip out of 3. You got number 2?
Team development, trust in your team. And that can be one of the hardest things to do, is to put that trust into someone to do something that you might have done previously, whether you think you do it better. They might make a mistake, but being okay with that. What it will do is it'll empower them, you'll get more out of them, and on the flip side, you'll have some more breathing time. And I guess in doing that, it's almost therapeutic because that breathing time allows you to see more clearly the future direction and strategic and be more positive about the situation rather than being bogged down into it.
And you just got to back yourself. It's something, whether I'm playing sports or in business, it's not an arrogance, it's just a confidence that you've just got to believe in yourself and what you're bringing, because if you're confident, it's going to rub off on your team as well. So if you can obviously, back yourself, get in there at the start of the day with your enthusiasm, and that rubs off on the team. So I think confidence is important and backing what you believe in.
Excellent. Round of applause, guys. Ben and Emma Stallworthy.